of writing a research paper. I'll share for you now the slideshow. It's not a slideshow, it's from the book here. Okay, but I brought you this part, the outline, from another book, because I felt like it is, I brought it from literature. Okay, because I felt like it is more easier. Can I say more easier? More and easier?
No,
It's
only
called
easier.
what? It's called what when I say more easier?
Double.
Yes, double.
Excellent. Double. Double what? Double what? We took it yesterday.
Was it double comparison? No.
Yes, double comparison. Avoid double comparison. When I use the more and ER or most and EST. Okay, so girls, do you see the paper?
Yes.
Okay. Here is the outline of the research paper. Okay, can you see it well? So organizing ideas. Read Lujain.
Miss, can you zoom in a bit?
Can I what?
Zoom in. It's not clear.
Can you see it now? Yeah.
Yes. Before you begin writing your paper, take some time to plan the order of your main points. Write a thesis statement that explains the main idea of your paper. Your thesis statement will probably contain cause-effect words such as therefore, as a result, and because. Sample thesis statement. By enabling the instant transmission of information, radio changed the way countries communicate.
Okay.
Number two, create an outline.
Okay, and Lujain, I will interrupt you to explain. Before you begin writing, take some time to think of the main points. Main points. Okay, number one, I write a thesis statement. So I bring my pen and I write a thesis statement at a side and assign the points I will discuss. Okay, after I assign the thesis statement, be focused with me because at the revision I will tell you something else about the thesis statement. So before you write, okay, think of the thesis statement and write it. Number two,
create an outline based upon the information from your notes. Your paper should have an introduction, body, and conclusion. Study the following sample outline. Introduction. A. Introduce the topic. Capture your reader's interest. Use a story or quotation. For example, tell the story of Frank Conard, who made the first AM radio broadcasts from his garage in East Pittsburgh. B. Thesis statement. By enabling the instant transmission of information, radio changed the way countries communicate.
Okay, so in the introduction, as any of the essays, any work, in an introduction, I capture my reader's interest. How I capture his interest? By showing him an interesting way to read, to continue reading. So I capture his eyes and then I introduce the topic, background about the topic. I can use a story or a quotation in capturing his eyes. Tell the story of Frank Conrad, for example, who made the first AM radio, because here he is talking about innovation that has changed, innovations that have changed the world. And then you pick an innovation of them, maybe the radio, maybe the telegram, maybe the email. So here you can tell us to start by telling a story about who first invented the AM radio. Then thesis statement. Usually we write the thesis statement at the end of the introduction paragraph. At the end. Sometimes you find it at the end, at the beginning, at the very beginning and the middle, but usually in order to be organized, because we are just learning, we write it at the end of the introduction. So hook, background, introduction. Thesis statement, I'm sorry. Hook, background, thesis statement. Body.
Body, explain the innovation in detail. Explain the background of the idea. Describe how the idea was developed, including where, when, and by whom. B. Describe the effects of the idea. Explain how the idea spread and what impact it had on society, both positively and negatively. 2. Explain what future effects of the idea are likely to occur.
So here,
Conclusions.
I will start writing the body. I have bodies because it's a research paper. I'm not stuck with the 3-body essay. I have more than one body. What do I write in the body? If I will write about World War II, if I will write about the water allergy that Huda said. So first of all, I have to explain the allergy in detail, or the innovation, or of course I will not write about World War II because it's a very broad topic, so I will start about the beginning or the reasons behind the World War II. So explain the allergy in detail. I will explain what is water allergy. I will not say here I will explain. No, you explain it. You directly explain it without presenting anything, without presenting yourself or anything. Then you explain the background of the idea, like what, like when was it discovered, for example, and what is it? What is, so first what? First I answer what. What is it? This is the water allergy, and I give the meaning of the terms. Describe how the idea was developed, how the disease was discovered, or this allergy was discovered, how, where, who discovered it, when it was discovered, who is the scientist behind it, or the doctor behind it, or behind the innovation. Then I describe the effects of the idea. So if it's an innovation, it has its positive side and negative side. So I mention both of them. If it's a disease, so I mention, of course, diseases have only one negative side. So I mention the negative sides. I mention the symptoms. I mention the disease. I mention the treatment, because it's a disease. So I should mention the disease, the symptoms, the medicine, the treatment. Then I explain what future effects of this idea are likely to occur, what is after the email, and what is the effect of email for the whole world, and how it was replaced by new programs, new like Telegram or WhatsApp or this or Zoom meetings. Explain what future effects of the idea, what future effects of the disease, if it increased or the number of this disease increased. So these are the bodies. So in the body, I have many. So one body to explain what is the disease, what is the innovation. Second one, the how was it developed, how was it discovered, where, when, and third one, by who has discovered the disease. Okay, the symptoms, the fourth body, symptoms of the disease. Fifth body, the treatment of the disease. Sixth body, the future. So here I have 6 bodies. If it's an innovation, as I told you, what is the innovation? Number 2, when it was discovered and where, by whom, how it was discovered. Okay, then I reach to the conclusion after like 6 bodies of research or more. Okay, because you search, so you get information of the internet, so you have lots to write. Okay, then the conclusion. Continue, Lujay.
Conclusion. Summarize your main points and restate your thesis statement. Inspire readers to learn more about the topic.
Summarize the main points and the thesis statement in different words. It is the same as any essay. Inspire readers to learn. Do not write now, it's your time to talk. No, never mention yourself. Never talk to the reader. In the science book, when they write to you, check page number, because here it is, he is showing you the illustration of the book, but never talk to the reader, because science book is a research. Okay, but never in your research paper talk to the reader or to the doctor you present the presentation to. Okay, so now it's the first draft. I start writing my first draft. Thank you, Lujane. Nancy?
Yes.
First draft.
Encourage students not to get hung up on grammar, spelling, and
No,
mechanics
dear,
as they
the
draft.
first draft here. Use your outline to write, because this is from the teacher edition. So this is the what do I have to do with you?
Use your outline to write a draft for your research paper. Here are some hints. Refer to your notes while drafting. Write quickly. You will revise and proofread later. If you take a break and then return to drafting, reread what you have written before continuing. This will help you resume the flow of thought. Mark this paper draft number 1. Make sure to include citations in your draft.
Okay, so here is my first draft. I'll start writing my first draft. I will use the outline to here I will talk about that, there I will talk about that, and this is the in conclusion. Then I refer to the notes, all the notes I've collected through researching. Then I start writing quickly, gather all the notes together. I will revise and proofread later. Then if you take a break for a few days and you go back to your writing, you reread. It is better to reread what you've written, because these are very important tips, not for this year. I'm talking to you that you will use it for the rest of 5 or 4 coming years. If you take a break, then you go back to reread what have you written in order not to repeat it. Okay, so this will help you to resume the flow of thoughts, to remember. And then mark this paper draft 1 and make sure to include your citation in your draft, so you never forget the citation in order to avoid plagiarism. Then prepare research format. Continue.
A research paper that follows MLA or MIA?
ML.
That follows MLA format includes a separate works cited page. A works cited page lists the
Publication information.
publication information for each research source that you quoted, paraphrased, or summarized within the essay. The entries in the list are arranged alphabetically, and each entry follows the MLA format for a works cited list. Here are some examples of works cited entries for different types of sources.
Yes. What if I want to paraphrase? I want to quote, it means to take it as it is. Paraphrase is to restate it in my own words. Summarize is to just mention the important points. But these are taken from the internet, so I have to cite, as we said previous time, the MLA format for works cited list. If it's for a book, this is how you write it. For a book, last name, first name, title, publisher, publication date. For an article, last name, first name, title, the title of magazine, day, month, year, and page. Article in an online magazine, the same, last name, first name, title, magazine or journal title, day, month, year of publication. Okay, or access day, month, and year. If it's a URL is like HTTP. This. For a video on a website, title of source, title of container, and editor if noted, or publisher by day, month, year of publication. I have 2 ways. This is how I cite it at the end. This is how I cite it at the end. So here, at the end I mention all of that, not in the text. If it's in the text, I write it like that. Where is it? I showed it to you previous time. So here, if it's after I finish the text. Here, if I want to, if it was here or in the other book, yeah, maybe in the other book. It was mentioned that if I, here, after I finish, this is the citation after I finish. Was it mentioned here? Here. If it's in the text, so after I finish the quote, I mention where I brought it from. So like Karl Marx, 18. And then after I finish the whole research, I write it this way. I cite it this way, as we have just discussed, like this. If it's a book or online magazine or here. Okay, so this is the first draft. Then I come to the revision part. Thank you, Nancy. Nirvana, revision part.
I think the screen is delayed. Okay, it's here. There is great benefit to having other students and your teacher read your paper. Listen carefully to their questions and comments on your writing. Applying their advice will help refine your writing. Here are 3 ways to revise your paper. First, peer review. This review will evaluate whether your ideas are interesting and whether they flow together in a logical order. With a group or 2 with a group or two to 3 people. Complete the steps on the following pages. Steps for peer review. 1. Select a timekeeper. Each writer gets 15 minutes. Stick to the time. 2. One person begins by reading aloud his/her introduction while other members listen. 3. Pause. The same writer reads the introduction aloud a second time. 4. Writer asks, "Does the introduction make you want to know more?" Each member responds as the writer takes notes on his or her draft. 5. Writer reads the entire paper, pauses, and then reads it again. 6. As the writer reads, members take notes. 7. Writer asks, "What questions do you have about my paper? Do you understand the idea and how it changed the world? Are you inspired to learn more about it?" Writer jots down replies. 8. Repeat steps 1 to 7 with the next writer.
If we were at school, we would have gathered, divided into groups, each group together, and one of the group discusses with the others. She stands up, she reads her introduction, and then she starts to ask, "Was my introduction interested? Are you interested to know more about the topic?" So if you cannot do it as class, you can do it at home. You can read to your sister, your mother, okay? And you ask her, "Was it interested that you want to continue? Are you interested about the topic?" So this is a first peer review. Those who were with me in previous year, we used, after they write their essays, they used to give it to their friends, and their friend takes home, the copybooks home, they check it, and then they send it back to her, because it is very good for you to see others' works. Why? Because when you look at it with the critic eyes, you criticize them, you understand what to avoid in your writing. Okay, and this is how we do it in literature. So this is called peer review, that your friends help you to know if your topic is, especially in the introduction, is it interesting, and this, and then we repeat it among the other writers. Thank you, dear. Lina Al-Haj.
Yes, teacher.
Read, dear.
From where?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible after peer review, revise your draft based on your peers' questions and comments. Mark this paper draft 2. Second, teacher-parent review. Ask an adult or older sibling to read your paper and respond to the following. Thesis statement. Is my main idea clearly stated in the introduction? Content. Is there enough information given about the development of the idea, its current uses, and its possible future applications?
So now, after your friend said to you this and that, and you went back home, this was supposed to be in a class. So you go and you take the opinion of your older sibling or your mother or your father. You read it to them or you give it to them, and then you ask them, "Is my main idea clearly stand the introduction? Is the content well organized, well developed? Okay, its current uses and its possible future application." It is if you are talking about the new innovation. What information or ideas are missing? Is there any information or is there any idea is missing? Do any points need to be more developed? Why you take others' opinion? When you write, even the very famous writers, when they write, they send to their friends. Why? Because a double eye, a second eye, when it checks, it sees mistakes. It can check the mistakes, but when it's yours, you cannot see the mistakes easily. Okay, you cannot spot the mistakes easily. Continue, Lean. Organization of ideas.
Okay, organization of ideas. Are the main points logically organized? Are good transitions used between paragraphs, between ideas? Conclusion. Does my conclusion reinforce the thesis statement? Does it bring the paper to a satisfying close? Grammar usage, punctuation, and spelling. Are there any mistakes in grammar usage, punctuation, and spelling?
Yes, so now you ask them, are my ideas organized? Are the main points organized? The conclusion, then we go to the conclusion. Does my conclusion reinforce the thesis statement? Show it again. Does it bring the paper of a satisfying close? Is it a satisfying close? Grammar, usage, punctuation. Are there any mistakes in grammar or usage or punctuation? So this is what you ask. Then you reach to the final peer review. Final peer review. Thank you, Leen. Serene. Final peer review.
Yes, teacher.
Ask another student.
Ask another student to read your paper and evaluate it using the rubric below. Using the following guidelines for your research paper. Your paper should contain a thesis statement explaining how a certain idea has sufficiently changed the world. Be organized into interesting introduction, body, conclusion, and good transitions. Give background on the topic and explain past and possible future effects of the innovation. Include in text citations and a
Citation.
word-cited page. Demonstrate a clear and interesting style of writing. Include a variety of sentence type. Contain correct grammar usage, punctuation, and spelling.
So this is a rubric. What is a rubric? For any, remember when I sent you the rubric of the narrative, I told you this is how I check the narrative. For each kind of writing, there is a rubric. So I check from 1 to 5, you got, you know, when you call the any mobile or STC, and then they say to you, please choose from 1 to 5 whether you like the service or not. It is the same from 1 to 5. So it contains a thesis statement explaining how a certain idea has significantly changed the world, because this topic is about innovation. So I give the 4 mark if it's contain a thesis statement and explain everything. Is it organized into interesting introduction and the body and the conclusion? So I can guess this is the introduction, these are the bodies, these are the conclusion, or this is the conclusion. If they give background on the topic, is there a background on the topic and explain past and possible future effects of the innovation? If it includes in text citation and a work cited page, there is citation, there is the work cited page or not, he didn't mention them. Demonstrate a clear and interesting style of writing, include a variety of sentences, the types, contain correct grammar, usage, punctuation, and spelling. Okay, so this is the final peer review. We will stop here, guys, and continue proofreading next time. Okay?
Okay, have a nice day.
Yeah, stop recording. I'm reminding you tomorrow we